Buenos dias, señores y señores, and welcome to another edition of the SoccerSanchez podcast. As always, I'm joined by regular guest D-Lord the Don. How are you today, D-Lord?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Could be better, but you know.
Could be better. could have done with 3 points at the weekend.
Oh, man.
And return guest, Everton fan, the Canadian wonder kid, is Ollie Wren. How are you, Ollie?
Good, man. Good.
Ollie's sporting his Everton scarf there, because today we will be talking the Merseyside derby, as well as a focus on Chelsea, Lampard, and their defence. And maybe we'll touch on the happenings of the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and Lanzini screamer. But we'll see if we get to that bit. Firstly,
we will. We'll make sure.
So let's start off with the game of the weekend. Let's be honest, in terms of anticipation, the Merseyside derby always brings about an excellent game of football, whether it be a scrappy encounter or a game of beautiful football. There's always something going down on Merseyside, and in particular, this year is no different. Everton 2, Liverpool 2. Story of the game: Pickford injuring arguably the best defender in the league in Virgil Van Dyke. And then right at the end, we had the controversial offside VAR decision. Well, I'm sure we all have our thoughts on that. But let's just get a general oversight, Ollie. Obviously, you must be very happy that last goal wasn't confirmed and Liverpool didn't win that game. But what are your thoughts of the general assessment of the match and how you think Everton competed with Liverpool this time around?
Yeah, we'll get to the controversy for sure in a bit, but overview of the game. I mean, I thought we let ourselves down a little bit, to be honest. If I look at the balance of play, I think the first half, was definitely Liverpool's half. I think they played really well. We were lucky to get what we got out of that first half. Lucky to be, going into the second half with even a chance. With that said, I think, a lot of the second half we started to grow into the game and played a lot better. I'd say the way the balance of the play went by the end of the game, happy to get a draw. Showed we can compete with what were the champions of the league last year. So all in all, it's got to be a confidence builder for the boys, and going into the weeks that follow, that's what counts, right? Top of the league still, unbeaten, and showed we've got a lot of fight in the club to come back after what was a nice finish and a great early goal by Mane. So I was quite pleased with the fight back.
I've got to say, I mean, not just myself, but I think many football fans have been very impressed with Everton and the way they've held themselves this year. I mean, a 2-2 draw with Liverpool is fantastic, to be honest with you. Liverpool, of course, ran away league winners last season, so to get a 2-2 draw at home with the main rivals is brilliant. James Rodriguez, Alan, Calvert-Lewin has been amazing this season. But what do you think the main catalyst is for Everton's success so far this season, Ollie?
It's got to be a full season or off season and half a season with the manager. He's turned the club around as far as what we aim for, what only expecting excellence at the club. This guy's won at every level, and he's instilling that winning mentality into young up-and-coming players like Calvert-Lewin, and he's bringing in seasoned pros who've won before, and James Rodriguez and Alan, and and even the players he brings in that haven't won, like Decore. These are players with like a pedigree of hard work, of striving to be great players. So he's brought the right mix of people into the room, but he's also, he demands excellence, and that's what Everton's been missing, and what our club's been based on. It's on the badge, right? This is something that the club holds near and dear to its heart. That we expect nothing less than greatness. Finally, we have a manager who really is trying to push our players to their full potential. So for me, that's the main difference. Somebody at the club who won't allow for you to take a day off. Look at a perfect example. I don't want to drone on, but a perfect example is like a Michael Keane. Okay, this guy is up and down with his performance from the day he came into the club. And since he's had stability and a quiet, word in his ear to build his confidence. You've seen a turnaround in that player. Like, listen, I'm not saying he's a top 5 defender in the league, but what I will say to you is I can watch him for 90 minutes, goal aside, I can watch him for 90 minutes now, whereas before I was tearing my hair out.
And obviously, what you're saying is Ancelotti's a big part of that.
Oh, I think so. I think, from someone who's watched him game in, game out, make silly mistakes, he kind of had that Pickford mentality where there was always one mistake in his game. And now you're seeing him, first of all, the guy does a Cruyff turn and sends a ball over the middle 2 weeks ago. And I thought, who are we watching? He's got that confidence instilled in him, and then it pours out onto the pitch, right? These guys, professional footballers, have the ability. It's who's in their ear and who's telling them the right things to do, and that's management. Get the best out of what you have, and that's what Carlo Ancelotti's doing.
Yeah, no doubt. Carlo's influence on Everton is clear to see. D-Lord, you're no stranger with the Italian stallion there. He obviously helped Chelsea be very successful. Do you think he can take Everton to Europe this season at least, or do you think they're odds on to do something greater than just like a Europa League place, for example?
I think they're on the right path. I think, like I said, they've got all the right ingredients at the club. Everton have a great history, and what better to bring in somebody like Carlo Ancelotti, who has a great history himself in winning all sorts of trophies. He's won it all. Champions Leagues. Whatever league he's been, Serie A titles, the Premier League. He's been here. He's done that. So Everton have got themselves a great manager who knows what it takes to become a winning club. And I felt that Everton have always been on the cusp. They've just been, just there, not really. They're not battling relegation, but they're not really at the same time, breaking into the top 4 or something, or maybe even top 6. But since he's come now, you can see that there's a chance to take Everton to that next level. Whether it be breaking into the Champions League spot, they've got the ingredients to do it. You could tell by the buyers that but they're not just buying. They're not just getting players dumped from Manchester United's rejects into the club as before. They're now, getting real class talents into the club. You look at the buyers of Allen. You look at the buyers of Doucouré, who was, everybody said at Watford, that this guy can go to a top six club, and perform. And he's got that move in Everton, which is a big boost for them. And let's not forget a world-class talent like James Rodriguez, who everybody was saying, would he be able to hack it? He wasn't playing for Real Madrid, so maybe he wasn't good enough, or maybe he was overrated. I think he's showing now that people don't know anything, because they don't really watch players outside of the Premier League. They just read, articles and just assume that this player is not
stats. That's all it is.
Article of stats, that they're not. He can't cut it, but he's basically walking the Prem, literally, and still
he's walking. He's walking in the Prem.
He's walking the double entendre there. Like, he's literally doing that, and with ease as well. Like every game, he's been a threat, whether it's goal scoring or assisting, or he's making that key pass. I'm really enjoying the link up between him and Digne on the left, where he is always finding him, and Digne obviously himself whipping in those dangerous balls. So my only worry for Everton is, do they have a squad big enough to sustain this throughout the whole season? And also, I'm not really sure, that if they really want to go on to that next level, if, again, Pickford at the back as the goalkeeper is the right guy, to take them, to allow them to progress. He's a good keeper. He's England #1, which I don't feel he should be, but you know, wherever he's England number one. I feel that, you know, they probably would need a goalkeeper better than him to, you know, and a couple more signings, you know, just for that squad, just to boost that squad and, you know, and take them into the darker sides of the end of the season when the fixtures get really congested.
Yeah, the one benefit that we have is obviously not being in Europe this year. You know, in the condensed season frees us up a little bit for being able to play our full squad a little bit more. But I agree with Dennis. I mean, we need cover in the striker position. We sent Moise Kean on loan to PSG. We need cover in, you know, right now, right back. We've got
Seamus Coleman.
Yeah, Coleman's a great player. He's pulled up with a hamstring. Kenny could be out long term. So we've got Godfrey as kind of a makeshift right back at the moment, which, I mean, tough on the kid to come in on his debut and have to play out of position. And I thought he did a really good job. But to Dennis's point, you can't have players playing out of position if you want to be in the top four or competing for that Champions League place. That, you know, no doubt. And I think one of the things, you know, you kind of segued into it really well, Dennis, with talking about Pickford, because we've got to talk about, you know, the controversy. But this is the thing, right? This is where Everton fans and Liverpool fans differ, okay? We don't see it as controversy, okay? There's no controversy. There was a red card that should have been given. It wasn't given. This happens in football, right? That's how the Everton fans have a pragmatic look at football, okay? That should have been a red card. Any fan worth their salt will put his hand up and say that. But it wasn't given. Not because of a conspiracy, not because Liverpool is so hard done by, but because it was missed, right? I don't understand
I think that's the controversy, though. Because it's hard to miss.
But these are things that, this game's centuries old, right? Fouls get missed. The referees come out after the game and say, "Oh, I missed it. It was it's human error." Human error, that is football, you know. And then you look at the offside. Now we want to talk about controversy. The man's offside.
No, stop it.
Wait. One thing at a time. Wait, hold on, Dennis. Hold on. The thing that I understood, that the reason that Pickford didn't get sent off was because of the rules of football. So what I heard, from what I understood anyway, is because Virgil van Dyke had been flagged offside, they can't go back and rule that as a foul, which is why they can't use VAR to be able to assess whether or not that's a red card or not. You are correct in saying that any football fan would say.
And they said the referee had already blown the whistle
for the offside, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I heard, and
that's the controversy, though.
Yeah, they couldn't go back because it's the whistle's been blown, and then a press release or whatever came out today, and the refs come out and said no, you can give the card, but it wasn't even something we reviewed because it wasn't. It was a missed foul on the day. Now, regardless, Everton fans will tell you, and no bones about it, he should have been sent off, but so should Robertson have been sent off.
Dennis, what do you think, Dennis? I mean, it was clear. I got the picture up on the screen. The tackle is awful. It's a scissor kick, right into Virgil van Dijk's knee. And before I ask the question, what I was going to say as well is, I was going to suggest, maybe he get retrospective action taken against him, but the Premier League announced today that the decision was made on the pitch, so he won't be punished. I mean, surely that's got to change, no?
But do you feel that there was violent conduct from Pickford?
That was violent conduct.
Yeah, man. He's off the ground.
He flew. He
didn't mean it, but that was a dangerous tackle.
I'm not saying he meant it, but that was a wild challenge. It was wild. Whether he meant it or not, he did it. We know he didn't mean it. He tried to make himself big, because he's not really a big keeper. He's how tall is he?
He's a big, thick lad. He's about 6'1", 6 foot.
6'1", yeah. Well, to me, like when 6'1s are small keepers for me anyway. But
that's a big boy.
But he's probably seen Van Dijk and he's trying to make himself as big as possible. But the way he's done it, the adrenaline, he's gone and he's left the ground, both feet, he scissored him into his knees. Like, come on.
Let's be clear.
That is 2 red cards.
Pickford hasn't made contact with Virgil's shin. He's gone in. Both his feet have missed Virgil Van Dyke. Hit the tackle.
And the ball.
Yeah, and the ball. It's a red card. That's no doubt. I'm not doubting that.
Yeah.
But Pickford has basically run his groin into Virgil Van Dijk's knee. If anyone can tell me that that's something that somebody does on purpose, then you
we're not saying he did it. We're not saying he did it on purpose. We're not saying he did it on purpose. We're saying he should have got sent off.
Violent conduct.
That was violent conduct. Like if when you've left, your whole body is on that player's knee and his leg was implanted on the ground. That's a leg breaker. Like there's no 2 ways about it. I don't understand how the referee has not gone to see the monitor and be like, no, that's a red card offense. Like he should have been off the pitch. Like there's no.
I think for the sake of the podcast here, we need to get up on the laptop. What is the Premier League ruling or definition of violent conduct? Because if a missed tackle where you've unintentionally run your groin into someone's knee or any part of your body that's not your cleats, is defined as violent conduct.
That can still be counted as violent conduct.
The fact that you said
someone who's jumping in the air.
I agree with you. I don't think he did it on purpose. He just tried to make himself big. But in terms of that, the impact happened. You can't take that away. That is violent conduct.
The fact. Wait, one second. The fact, Ollie, that you've admitted yourself that Pickford's groin is touching Van Dijk's knee shows how high he's off the ground, no?
Oh, like I said, it is a red card. That's not the argument. But the argument is going back retroactively to ban someone for violent conduct. I don't believe that's the definition of violent conduct in my eyes would be intentionally causing someone or with intent to injure.
Okay.
This is not what this is. It's not intent to injure. It was intent to get the ball. And it was a match tackle, and it was a terrible tackle, which unfortunately caused injury. But at the end of the day, the player's intent was not to cause injury. So therefore, I don't view it as violent conduct.
I think we're getting stuck on the term violent conduct. That retrospective action should have, when the FA looking at it, should have seen. Did he go? He went for the ball. He missed the ball. Should have that action been a red card or not? It should have been a red card. They missed it in the game, so he should have. They should have still given him the red card retrospectively.
No way.
We had this discussion a few weeks back. Remember, what did they say? They said that because they blown the whistle and because it was offside, they couldn't go back and give him a red card or whatever. But then we went back. We spoke about this a few weeks back with the whole Manchester United situation where an incident has happened and the referee blown the whistle to end the game. The game is ended. They've come back to say, oh, no, there was a handball during play. So they've gone back. The referee's gone back to the monitor, had a look at the monitor and said, you know what, there was a handball. And he gave the penalty after the whistle had been blown. So, yes, in terms of the Everton versus Liverpool game, yes, the referee, if that's what happened before, the referee can go back and have a look at the monitor and say, you know what, I actually missed that. That is a red card tackle.
The problem.
This is days.
One sec, Ollie. Wait. Let me just clear something up for Dennis. The reason why they can't take retrospective action is because the matter had been dealt with on the pitch. The referee had said today, or whenever they had this meeting, it must be today. The referee had said he had seen the incident and he didn't think it was a foul. He didn't think it was a red card. And that's why they can't take retrospective. Sorry, Ollie.
All I want to say is this, yeah? If you think that retroactively that's a red card, then explain to me how Son for Tottenham snaps Andre Gomez's leg, snaps multiple leg break, gets a red card and retroactively has the red card taken away and a yellow card given. If you can explain to me how Pickford's challenge is worse than Son's challenge, then I'm willing to listen.
I'm not here to say which is the worst challenge or not. Like, did that challenge deserve a red card? Yes, it did. Did Son's challenge back then deserve a red card? I can't actually even remember. I think I can vaguely remember.
Wasn't it Aurier though? Aurier pushed Gomez, which his momentum led on to Son's challenge. That's why it was changed to a yellow, because it wasn't seen as intentional as he put violent conduct.
Yeah, so there's always some sort of context, but in terms of black and white, like, okay, they said they've looked at it, and if he's saying that he's looked at it retrospectively and he still wouldn't have given the red card, then that's a different story. But as an Everton fan, you've seen it and said, you know what, that should have been a red card. We've seen it and said, you know what, that should have been a red card. But they've now seen it and said they've looked at it retrospectively and said, I didn't give a red card before, and I've gone over to look at it, and I still wouldn't have given the red card. Now that's where things get a bit dicey. Like what's going on?
They're saying they can't give it as a red card, even if they think it is after the fact, because a decision was made at the time.
Fair enough.
If it was something that he hadn't seen, then they can go back and say, oh, you know.
Yeah.
That doesn't hold water, right? Based on the whole Son thing, because he dealt with that on the field and retroactively. So for me, I find the whole thing a bit strange. To be honest with you, even if they did give him a retroactive ban for 3 games, I wouldn't be too upset with it. We'll put Olsen in net. Pickford's been a liability anyway. So,
That's true.
But the point is that I'm trying to make as an Everton fan is we look at things pragmatically. Yes, it should have been a red card at the time. If, the media and Liverpool fans want to make it into an assault charge and debate it in Parliament, like I've been hearing some weird shit going with these guys. They are a strange group of fans.
I think we can all agree that he didn't intentionally go out to try and break his leg. We can all agree that, like, he did what any keeper is supposed to do in terms of making yourself look big to try and reduce the angle of a goal scoring chance. That's what he did. It's just the way he's done it was reckless.
Yeah.
So yes, like, he should have been sent off, but it didn't happen. Like, if that was my keeper that did that, I'll be like, we were lucky with that one. But if I was the opposite, if it was my player that keeper did that too, and essentially broke his legs and didn't get a red card for it, I would be fuming. So I can understand the Liverpool side of how peed off they are, but obviously they're going over the top of, like, what you're saying, whatever stuff is they're talking about in Parliament, or is this and that. Like, it's just heat in a moment, anger that they're taking out. They've lost their best. They've essentially lost their best defender, and they know that that's a very, very big loss. So they are going to be, of course, they're going to be very, very upset, especially when there wasn't a red card. If there was a red card, maybe you probably wouldn't be hearing half of the stuff that they've been saying. But they obviously feel, you know what, we've been hard done by. How can we lose a player out for like 8 months with a tackle everybody's seeing that everybody agrees should have been a red card, and he's gotten away with it. So they're gonna feel aggrieved. Saying, like, obviously they're going over the top with certain things that they're saying.
Just to speak onto that point, Merseyside police have just released a statement that they will be investigating the social media abuse that has been going on. It's been that bad with death threats to Jordan Pickford and to his girlfriend. It's been that bad that Merseyside police have had to open an investigation.
That's
you know what? Can't be stressed enough how big a group of weirdos these guys are.
You know what? That's a whole nother different story, because with social media, you're gonna get a bunch of weirdos, doing all sorts of, like, I just read a tweet of someone even giving their opinion on a game, and the person started receiving death threats.
The Hazard guy, innit?
Yeah, it was a
Chelsea fan, yeah, and he was just saying something about football, something just.
Yeah, he was saying something about football, something just like just a different opinion, and he was getting death threats, so he's had to close his DMs because of that. And it's like,
man,
like football. There's football fans nowadays, especially on social media. People are quick to say the craziest stuff. It's mad. Yeah, the police definitely need to investigate that. You can't be sending death threats to. Because of something that's happened on the pitch. It's ridiculous, man. So.
Listen, we've gone on about Everton so much, but as a result of that tackle, Virgil Van Dyke is now out between 6 to 9 months. Dennis, how much of an impact is that going to have on Liverpool's title challenge, do you think?
Well, thanks to Everton. Everton literally just blown the title race wide open. Like, literally, I saw some stats. I can't remember the figures off head, but it's clear that Liverpool miss a player like Van Dijk. That is somebody that, a left-sided defender who's literally he's the best defender in the league, the best defender in the league, possibly in the world at the moment.
Might miss the Euros as well.
Might miss the Euros. So like he's 29. That's people forget that he's 29. Is he gonna come back the same? Like it's gonna be hard. So. That has definitely, I feel personally, that has blown the race wide open now. They do have Fabinho who can drop in to play at the back. They have Fabinho, they have Matip, they have Gomez, but none of them, they don't have that presence. Teams are not coming onto the pitch and seeing those players and saying, wow, we're going to be in for a tough game today. They're going to be looking at like, we got a chance. But when you're coming into the pitch and you're seeing like a Van Dijk, there's that little bit of doubt in here that it's going to be a tough game today. I mean, well, Aston Villa didn't think that, but if you look in hindsight, it's crazy that they're going to lose that player for that long. So yes, I feel that teams would have. The race is blown wide open. I feel.
It's kind of
that makes City, to me, it still makes City like favourites.
Don't forget as well, when all those players played in beside Van Dijk, he was betting them. So yeah, you have Fabinho playing back there, Matip, Gomez, but they always have the big guy kind of beside them.
Yeah,
a security blanket for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also, don't forget, he's playing that left-sided center back position.
Exactly.
So there's not really anyone on that roster at the moment who can step in and play that position. And again, as a football fan and as an Everton fan even, you never like to see players get injured.
Of course not.
And especially not, top 5, top 3 center backs in the world. You do not, that's why we watch the game, is to see the best in the world play.
Exactly.
So from my perspective, yes, it blows the race wide open. It's a shame to see him go, but now lots of teams have had to deal with injuries. I can't believe their front 3 had stayed uninjured for so long. Their Van Dijk had stayed uninjured for so long. This is adversity, so they've got to deal with it like every other club now.
Of course.
The other controversy of the Merseyside derby was obviously the offside decision right at the end. Everyone thought Henderson had nicked that game and Liverpool had won, and then VAR brought it back for a very contentious offside decision. Millimeters, we're talking fractions here. Dennis, what were your thoughts on VAR and this kind of offside decision? Because for me, I always thought, and we mentioned this when we talked about the Brighton game as well, for me, I thought VAR was for decisions which weren't clear and obvious to the referee. Now, if you're there spending 3, 4, 5 minutes trying to get a line to see whether or not the millimeters, offside, surely that negates the whole point of the VAR, and they should have just scrapped that particular offside decision and kept it as onside. I mean, what did you think about all that?
I thought that was a ridiculous decision. Again, if that was my team, I would have been livid. I tried to be objective and see, okay, what was offside? Because I looked at all the angles, and I still can't tell you what they saw offside. They're saying it was like a little shade of his elbow, was like everything to me, even the line looked like he was onside.
The line looks
So when
off.
they
I've got the picture now. It's showing up on the screen. Obviously, you guys can't see it. But even looking at that, it looks
I
such
can't
a
see
weird
what-
angle to be able to tell.
Exactly. So I want to know what they saw that they felt, that they can call offside. And also, it's the advantage is meant to go towards the attacker. If it's not very, very clear. And to me, that is probably one of the worst decisions I've ever seen for offside call. I mean, I've seen some where it's like a toe.
The Son one against Sheffield United was ridiculous.
Yeah, like that one was crazy. But then this one, I thought to myself, there's no, I sat down when they said that they're reviewing it. I said, there's no way in hell they are blowing this for offside. I know there's been some controversial decisions, but I said, there's no way in hell they're blowing this for offside. And when they made that call, I could not believe it. I mean, like as a neutral, it ruined the beauty of that goal. Like the pass from Thiago was so sublime to was it Robertson who cut it back?
I think so.
Yeah. The pass was so sublime, and Robertson cut back, and then Henderson finished that. Like that move, that deserved a winning goal. Obviously, Ollie's not gonna have that because he's an Everton fan. I understand, innit? Like, but he's got to see it from a neutral perspective. Like we saw that. And I thought to myself, no, that's such a brilliant play. That's such a brilliant goal to end the game on the last minute. And then it's like, oh, VAR is reviewing it. It's like, what are you reviewing? It's like, okay, maybe he was offside. But when you look at the picture, I was staring at my TV for a good... I actually paused it and I was looking at my TV and I was like, what is offside? Even when they called it offside, I said, I still don't know what is offside.
Yeah, but sure. Okay, so let's
Ollie, honestly, can you agree with that decision that was offside?
And before you answer, Ollie, I have to ask: did you break anything when you saw Liverpool score?
No, to be honest, I'd had a few liquid libations at the time, and I just had my head in my hands, and then I like peeked up to see the purple VAR screen, and then I just, I'm not a religious man, but a few prayers. I like to think they were answered as well. It's been a rough 2020, and I feel like I was owed one. So maybe that's what it was. But let's break it down as to the point, yeah? Hawkeye technology, goal line technology. If the ball doesn't go all the way over the line, if a stitch of the ball is not over the line, is it a goal?
I get what you're saying with that, but even the Hawkeye technology, it's very clear.
And it's
so
specific,
at least you can
it's specific to that rule. Whereas offside, we're just using the general cameras.
So they've had a release today of they do a red line where it's offside and a blue line where it isn't. I don't know if that's the one that you put up on the screen, but he's offside. If he's offside by a millimeter or by a mile, this is Hawkeye technology. It's the same thing.
It's not.
Show some integrity, man. Show some integrity.
The problem was wait. The problem with the offside decision is that it doesn't use specific technology to check for offside. It uses general cameras, which frame by frame per second doesn't actually link the fact of the offside happening. So like his elbow, whatever, linking to the same precise moment when the ball is kicked, and that's the problem.
But we're all using the same VAR, the same offside technology for every game. So break the offside with Jimenez with Wolves, where his hand is offside.
There has to be a margin of error there, because there is a margin of error.
Well, when they change the rule to have a margin of error, then Liverpool fans can complain. But until then, we're using the same technology as everybody else. It's ruled offside. It's offside. That's it.
Ollie, I have to say this, yeah. If that was Everton that scored that goal in the last minute, and that was blown offside, you would have ripped the roof off your house.
Man, 20 years of being an Everton fan and having calls go against us, let me tell you that Liverpool has just had a taste of what it means to have caught. These guys...
No, I get that. I'm just saying, we're just dealing with the context of the game. Like, if the roles were reversed and you scored that winner, let's say like Calvert-Lewin got that winner,
Ollie ain't having that. Ollie's not having it.
Fully deserved. There's no way in hell, Ollie, you're going to sit down and say, yeah, that was offside. Yeah,
From an actual, I can say this honestly, 100%. Of course, I would be I would be very upset if it was called. I would be going, I cannot believe this, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, and I can say this, VAR has been the same ever since it's come in with offside. It's not, he was only a millimeter. This was discussed last year. If he's offside, it's been offside. We're used to that as fans. It's happened to your club.
Yeah, it's definitely happened to us. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it happened to Tottenham.
All the time.
I think back to last year when Keane stood on Connolly's foot in the box against Brighton, and we get called a penalty, and the league issues a sorry after the
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, you know what?
But it's faulty.
Take that one and suck on it, man. I'm happy it happened. Thank God. Prayers are answered.
Well, it definitely ended in a
it was a brilliant game.
way. Yeah, completely.
And you know what? From a football fan standpoint, brilliant pass by Thiago. Gorgeous. I still got to see the goal. I'm just glad it didn't count.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, yeah. Liverpool, Everton, always a great game. There's always a red card. We didn't even get onto that bit, but yeah, madness. So we'll move on to the next game that I wanted to speak about, and obviously, D-Lord, you being here, we have to talk about Chelsea again. We seem to do that in every episode, but it's just so intriguing to see what's happening at Stamford Bridge. Obviously, Lampard on the spot now. His second full season. He was given money, which obviously he didn't have last summer. The defense seems to be still a problem, but I'll get onto that in a minute. Chelsea, of course, drawing 3-3 with Southampton. Two goals from Warner and Havertz were cancelled out by Che Adams, Danny Ings, and obviously Vestergaard with a 92nd minute equaliser. First of all, I want to start with the attack. Obviously, it's very exciting to see the players that you've bought and actually seeing them gel quite well going in attack for Chelsea. I need to ask though, given Chelsea's history of strikers, is Warner a striker that can help you win the league title?
If the defense is fixed, yes, he is. Because even when he's not scoring goals, you see how dangerous he is. And we haven't had that in a while. Like, you look at Morata, when Morata was going through spells of, not scoring, you can kind of see like it was eating him. You just looked at him and just saw that, you didn't know where the next goal was coming from. With Werner, like, he just got his first goals for the season, but in all the games he's played, he's looked dangerous. You see that, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. And that's what I like. Like, I'm not saying my strikers need to score every game. I mean, I would love it, but I need to see that I need to look into his eyes and see that, he's just that close, and he's going to get it. I have no, when he hadn't scored, I had no worries, because I saw what he was doing. Like, he was even making decent runs, and he was just not getting found. But now he's got his goals. He's up and running. I feel definitely he's if the team clicks, I think he definitely can be a striker that fires us to the title.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right though about the defense. It needs massive improvement. Obviously, you've got the players there, but it just seems, I don't know if it's the system or the confidence, or maybe even the lack of confidence in the goalkeeper Kepa, because obviously he hasn't had a fantastic season so far. Ollie, from what you've seen of Chelsea so far, do you think Lampard knows how to organise his defence? Do you think he needs extra help, to bring in a defensive coach? John Terry's at Villa. I mean, why isn't he at Chelsea?
You're dropping me in it there, because we all know my views on that. First of all, I will say definitely Werner could be a striker in the Premier League. Is he going to win the Premier League with Chelsea this year? But if you had asked me at the beginning of the year, I was saying that Chelsea were going to be a real contender. Now, to answer your question directly, do I think Frank needs help? Big time. I've been saying since the start.
100%.
I don't think he's organizing a team well. I think he's putting a suspect defense on their back foot. I think, the organization's all wrong. I think even if you look up front, Dennis hit the nail on the head. Werner was making good runs, but he started him out on the left. Then he was playing on the right. Now he's through the middle. Havertz was on the wing. Now he's behind the striker. Dennis, you've played football. Sanchez, we've all played our respective sports at a level. And consistency breeds performance, especially in top players.
Is that a tactic, Dennis? The fact that they do that?
I would say so because we had obviously everyone's not really had a pre-season. We've had a lot of players come in injured into the season and players in certain positions. So he's had to make certain adjustments in terms of playing players out of position. But now, slowly, everybody's kind of like coming back to fitness, because that right-hand side is literally meant to be Ziyech's position. So he's had to, chop and change. Like Pulisic was injured as well. Callum also just came back from an injury. They're trying not to rush him, but he's fully fit now. So he's had to tinker with the team. But now the players are back. This is where I want to start seeing, okay, let me see the type of decisions you're making where I can say, maybe you're the guy to kind of lead us forward, or maybe you're not the guy to lead us forward, because now everybody's coming back from injury. You can see Pulisic was back. Pulisic played his first 90 minutes, and which made he put Werner up front, and you saw the difference in the attack. Mind you, there's still a few things I'm not happy with how he's forcing certain players in positions that I feel you shouldn't be there. Like case in point, Mason Mount. He keeps putting him on the left-hand side of the wing. He's a central midfield player. Like, play him there. You put him on the wing. When we got actual wingers, you pushed out Pulisic to the right-hand side, where you saw him devastating, played a sick game or games on the left-hand side. When he came alive for our last season, when he took off by storm, it was on the left. He was decimating teams while he was playing on the left. You brought him back and you pushed him to the right and play Mason Mount. That's why it's kind of like turning the fans against Mason Mount. Not because he's a bad player. Mason Mount is a very good player, but you're causing animosity to this kid because you keep putting him in places
it's hard to say
in a position where there's other players who are better suited to that position. So he's making certain calls that's just kind of funny, and also, especially with the defense where he's chopping and changing the defenders every now and then. Like, obviously, Thiago couldn't play because he went to Brazil. And played Brazil. So he's 36 years old. I think he's just kind of like taking his time with him. He's not going to say, okay, yeah, throw him back into a Premier League match. And he's thinking, okay, let me put Christensen there, who should not be playing at all. It should be Tomori. It should be Tomori and Zuma, because before Thiago came, Tomori and Zuma is probably the best centre-back pairing we have. He's not played. He's not giving people the same opportunity he gives certain players. And that's what's kind of like getting on my nerves, because Mason Mount has got enough chances and Christensen gets enough chances, but Tomori doesn't get enough chances. But Tomori's been better than Christensen. So what are you doing? You move Zuma, who's best on the right-hand side, you play him on the left. So certain decision-making that he makes is leading to a lot of like individual errors, because that's what's literally caused us a lot of the problems, individual errors. If not, we would have been, probably top of the league or, just behind Everton.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, I know.
A hot take for you as to why Lampard does a lot of the things that he does. And I've read a lot of stuff about Chelsea, and this is what I truly believe is Frank's issue. Whether it's on defense, midfield, or the attacking line, even goaltending, I think Frank has a problem with big-name players, and I think he feels that he has to play players based on their name. He doesn't want to put, if he has to play it out of position, then he has to play them out of position, but they're going to be on the pitch because he doesn't want to cause turmoil. A player like Tomori is easy to leave out of the side because he has a name for himself. A player like Hudson-Odoi, I have a ready-made winger like Hudson, but I don't need to play him because he's not that big name that's going to get throw his toys out the pram. I think Frank is afraid to make the big decisions. And the big decisions are to maybe take a player like, for example, Mason Mount. Maybe he's not the greatest example, even though he's more established than the others. But it's easier for him to leave a player out without a name than it is for him to leave, Werner on the bench rather than playing him through, on the wing. I think that's his issue. I mean, yeah, he's doing it with Giroud, but Giroud's almost 100 years old now. If you name me another player that he's happy to sit on the bench who's established, then I'll start to think.
I just feel like the whole issue personally right now is the whole Mason Mount issue. If you want to play a 4-2-3-1 at the moment, like I've always said it from the start, I said it's criminal that we do not have one DM at the club. We don't have one. It's criminal. We don't have one DM. So we're playing makeshift players in that position. Yes, it's great. We're great attacking. Like we spend a lot of money on attack and we're getting the goals. You can see it. We're getting this goal. We scored 14 goals in about five games. Like we're scoring goals. But to then during the transfer window, you loaned out Ampadu, which didn't make any sense to me because to me, loaning him out said to me, you're bringing a DM in. And then the window closed and we didn't bring a DM. So now we're playing it's either Jorginho and Kante, who they're not DMs, because what they do, they're like moths to flyers. Like they see the ball and they chase it. Like they leave a gap. So if you look at the Chelsea, it's like an attack and it's defense. And the middle of the park is free. And what teams do is they put like 3 players in that middle because it's a big gap. I'll send you a screenshot of it's a big gap. So teams have clocked that, in the first half, Chelsea they're gonna obliterate you. They're gonna press you. They're gonna do all that. But once teams clock that, this is what's happening, where the 2 at the back in front of the defense push up as well, leaves a big gap in the middle. They're just dinking the ball over them, over the press. So it's like 3 versus the defenders. It's ridiculous. He plays a low line defense with a high line offense. Like I've never seen that kind of balance before.
Maybe for the Danny Ings goal you could blame it, but the 2 other goals had nothing to do with the midfield. It was just simple set pieces. Big, I don't know what. The last one was a set piece anyway, Vestergaard's goal. But then the Zuma and Kepa mistake. I mean, I don't know what was going on there. Zuma's such a reliable defender normally. That back pass was really terrible. But then the way Kepa reacted to that back pass was almost like he didn't remember he was a goalkeeper. He kind of, I don't know what position he was doing with his body, but it wasn't right. It just looked awkward. It looked like he was lost in that area.
The back part, like that was a terrible mistake by Zuma. It seems to me, for some reason, I don't want to really make excuses for him because he shouldn't have never tried to pass. It seemed to me that he wanted to pass the ball back, but then got caught in 2 minds and realized, oh shit, it's Kepa. Maybe I should, and he's hit it, but he's not hit it hard enough. But if you look at the replay, the ball still goes. Kepa had it. So he's come out. If you look at Shea Adams, look at the body language. Shea Adams runs towards the ball and stops because he thinks Kepa's got the ball. And that's the thing and that's my issue with Frank. Like, why are you playing certain people out of position? You play Zuma on the left-hand side. If Thiago's there, I understand. Cool. You can play Thiago on the right and Zuma on the left. I can kind of accept that because Thiago knows how to organize the back line. But when you got Christensen and Zuma, why you sacrifice Zuma to play out of position? Same way you sacrifice a Pulisic or Hudson-Odoi for a Mason Mount to be on the. You play them on the right side where their strongest point is playing on the left.
Who plays the left side when Tomori and Zuma play together?
So Tomori plays the left side.
So here's my question. It comes back to what I said before. Frank, it's easier for him to leave Tomori out of the side than it is Christensen. So he plays Zuma out of position, leaves Tomori on the bench to shoehorn Christensen into the lineup. Is this a manager of a top, contending club of Chelsea, or is this some expo? We will see.
He's not. He is. I will say it, and I'll say it again. He is not a top manager. I've always said he's a manager that's learning, and it's like we have to accept that Chelsea. We've done it. We've had the top managers. We're going into a new style of let's bring this guy in, because it was very toxic with the fans when Sarri was here, where it got to the point where the fans were just singing out F Sarri this and the blah blah blah. There was a big disconnect because Sarri didn't have that with the fans how Antonio Conte had with the fans. Sarri just literally just turned up, did way, and then just go. Not once did he ever clap the fans or even engage them. Nothing. He was just like. So there was it became toxic, which is why the club had to bring in these guys who play for the club, who know the club, to try and take them forward. And plus, with the ban we had, there was no manager that was going to come in to kind of like, take that risk to say, let me try and get Chelsea, back to Champions League without bringing in any players or whatever. No top manager was going to take that job. So that's why they brought in Frank, because Frank, he knows the club. He knows Jody Morris and them, like they know the youth players, so they can try and learn with the youth or whatever. So you're not gonna then sack him after that first year of doing that. So they're gonna try and see if they can grow. So they know he's not the finished article, but at what detriment does that come? So they've given him money. They've bought players, and apparently it's a project. Huh?
It's an expensive internship at 300.
It's a very expensive internship, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But if you're looking at the football, we're playing good football, but the fact that we don't even have a DM, one or two DMs in the club, you can see it's costing us, because second half of games, teams are starting to press us and starting to outplay us, because we've blown out in the first 45 minutes. Everybody's
pressure.
Yeah, what I'm saying? So second half is like these teams, because you remember these teams have been sitting back, they've been sitting back defending. Okay, they might concede here and there, but then second half, it's like now they come out and we can't handle it. Like you saw the game, the best game we played was against Crystal Palace. And funny enough, Liverpool, we had a good game until Christensen got sent off, which I was hoping was a three-game ban, but it wasn't. He got sent off, and then the best game we had was against Crystal Palace, and we won 4-0. Mason Mount wasn't even playing in that game. Like we played good, but then again, Crystal Palace didn't really press us. They didn't really put us under pressure. So it's like when teams put us under pressure, that is where I'm starting to see where this team can't handle it. And it's like a lot of teams are clocking that, because I noticed it in the Spurs game. In the first half, we obliterated Spurs, with the play. But the Spurs were sitting back. They weren't really coming out. Second half, Mourinho took off the handbrakes. We couldn't handle it. And it's like, if teams start to clock that, like Lampard needs to change that tactics of just letting Kante and them bump forward. Kante needs to tell him to hold back, him and Jorginho hold back and let their attack do their thing. Or if one person goes, one person has to sit. But he's letting both of them
play that night watchman style just in front of them.
But you can't do that, because teams are gonna finish you. And the way the season is right now, every team has dangerous players, and you will get punished. There's no easy 3 points, so you can't be making those kind of rookie mistakes. You have to learn fast, unless he's going to be in trouble.
From everything you've been saying, Dennis, about Lampard and his managerial nous, let's say, do you think he's guilty of playing favourites rather than players suited for the tactical positions and formations?
100%.
Do you think he's guilty of that, especially with Mason Mount? Because what I wanted to ask you was, when we spoke about, before the start of the season, when we spoke about the players that he'd bought, we were actually trying to think where Mount fits in this team, and you've just said that he plays on the left, he plays on the right, he plays in the middle. Is Lampard guilty of picking Mount just for favoritism?
He picks Mount because I feel like he sees himself in Mount. like that profession. And it's not Mount's fault because he's not a bad player. He's a gifted player. He's actually, but he needs to play. He needs to play in his position, which is the number 8, but he's not playing there. And it seems to me that he's clearly showing favoritism because Mount is going to give you energy. Mount will press off the ball, on the ball. His work rate is crazy. He's got work rate with his abilities. Let's not take away that, we think that Mount is just some average player that, Lampard just keep picking. But if you pick a player, you're playing him out of position, you're not getting the best out of Mount. You get the best out of Mount when he plays infield. So when you keep playing shoehorning Mount, it then looks like favoritism because you've not afforded someone like a Callum Hudson-Odoi that same amount of chance that you've given Mount. You didn't afford that type to Pulisic until Pulisic kind of just went Goku, and he was undroppable. Like he literally had to show him that, like, oh, I need to start. He was shoehorn Mount everywhere. So it's going to be interesting to see now that Ziyech is back fit. It's going to be interesting to see what he does with Mount. If he sticks with this 4-2-3-1 formation, which I think he needs to ditch, because we're getting out running midfield. He needs to go to a 4-3-3. We need 3 in the middle at least. It's going to be interesting to see what he does because Ziyech is back now, and Ziyech, he owns that right-hand side, even the right-hand side of the number 10. That's where he's going to play. And Havertz, if he plays a 4-3-3, he could play 2 number 8s and one person sitting. Hopefully, you could say, let's say Kante. Kante sitting, and he can play like a Havertz as a number 8 and a Mason Mount as a number 8.
And they can alternate who goes forward.
Huh?
They can kind of alternate who drops.
Yeah, you can kind of alternate who drops forward. But with the 4-2-3-1, it's not making any sense. Like, why are you playing Mount on the left? He should not be. He should not be on the left. You got a perfect winger sitting on the bench. He didn't even come on. He didn't even come on in the game. And when he actually played, we won 4-0 against Crystal Palace. And then he doesn't play the next game.
Yeah,
like, what are you doing? Come on, man. It's favoritism. It's clearly favoritism. He's not going to admit it.
I think it's getting kind of obvious now to even non-Chelsea fans. I mean, Ollie shook his head straight away when I asked the question. And it's clear to see, like, from why I'm watching Chelsea, why isn't Hudson-Odoi playing? So I don't think he can keep up with that for the rest of the season.
But then the problem is England is doing the same thing with the whole Grealish and Mount situation. I mean, I don't really follow England international. I don't really follow English international matches. But like the arguments has been, why is Grealish not starting? Why is Mount playing ahead of him? Because people feel Grealish has a bit more to his game than Mason Mount. But Gareth Southgate, if you see all the interviews, they ask him about Grealish or anything.
He changes it to Mount.
He changes it to Mount. He's like, well, yeah, but Mason... And I'm like, this is insane. This is crazy. Like they ask you about somebody else and he only goes back to Mount. So
they're playing Grealish up front and in that wing position where they're asking Mount to play. When Grealish, that's his natural position again. And Mount, that's not his natural position yet he's playing in front of Grealish. It's very strange. Mount must have some Polaroids on somebody. Serious. There must have been some kind of party. Southgate was there. And Mount in the bushes with the...
That makes sense, That makes sense more than anything else.
Listen, unless his dad is part of the mafia or some sort, the Portsmouth mafia, the Pompey mafia. Shout out to any Pompey fans that are watching this, but unless his dad is part of some sort of mafia, I do not understand why you're making this guy such a good player. You're making him hate. You're dividing the fans. You're turning the fans against him with how you're using
England and Chelsea.
You're turning that, and it's not fair on him. It's not fair because what can Mount do? Mount can only do what he's been asked to do.
Yeah, I agree.
He can only do what he's been asked to do. He's not gonna throw like he wants to play football. He'll play football, and he will give you 100%. I'm not taking that away from him. Like whenever he's on the pitch, he gives you 100%. I'm not saying he's not doing he's doing a disservice or whatever. But it's just like he's not a winger. Don't play him on the wing when you've got wingers sitting on the bench.
He seems to be like, singled out what you said by Southgate and Lampard now. So it's intriguing to see where Mason Mount will fit in towards the end of the season. Now I want to wrap this up because running out of time very briefly. And funnily enough, the third game that I want to kind of focus on was another draw. Tottenham 3, West Ham 3. Unbelievable ending to the game. Spurs looked fantastic at the start up until the 80th minute. Attacking wise, Son and Kane have been on a different level.
Amazing.
Just fantastic. And Kane, the fact that he's on 7 assists now, top assist of the league on 7, shows the connection not only that he has with Son. I mean, they've played together so many years now, but Kane as a player actually demonstrating what else he can do other than score goals. Obviously, as a Spurs fan, I was extremely disappointed with how that ended. But being a Spurs fan, I'm glad we didn't lose. So a point is better than 0. Ollie, what were your thoughts on the Spurs game? And do you think Tottenham, the Spurs fans daren't to say it, but they a title challenge was spoken about before the game. I think that 90th minute equaliser kind of woke us up a little bit and, made us realise there's a lot of problems in defence, even though there were individual errors, just like Chelsea are suffering at the moment. What were your thoughts on the game and Tottenham in general in the first 5 games of the season, Ollie?
Well, first of all, these things happen in derby games, and I know Tottenham tries to see it less and less as a derby game with West Ham, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of history between those two clubs, and it is a derby game. And just like the Liverpool-Everton game, crazy things happen in those games. So, unfortunate for Tottenham fans, brilliant for West Ham fans. But I've said this for a while about Tottenham. Even after the first game when Everton played against Tottenham and fortunate enough to win, I said you really have to watch out for Tottenham this year. I think they're a couple pieces away. And then they added Reguilon and they added Bale. And quietly who's having an unbelievable season, and it's strange to say about a manager, Mourinho is having a fantastic season. I've seen him turn some games on their head. And this guy has being a coach, I was a coach in my past and took it in schooling and stuff. Watching what he's doing, watching the games, because he is a gamesman. He's very much a man manager and a man manipulator. And I think seeing what he's doing from afar has been so entertaining for me, and I wouldn't write them off. Not at all. I think, again, managers' job is to get the best they can out of the players on that team. That's why we criticize Frank. That's why we've praised Carlo Ancelotti. And that's why, love him or hate him, you have to praise Mourinho. Yes, it was a letdown last game. I understand that. These things happen. But he's taking what is, on paper, to start the season, especially in injuries, a just above average squad, and he's making them into what could be a top 3, top 4 contender, in my opinion. Maybe not title, but they're going to be in the mix for Champions League, because that guy is on another level of management at the moment, like we've seen him before.
Yeah, I have to agree with you actually, because a lot of the talk when Mourinho signed for Spurs was how very different he was to Pochettino. Pochettino is very much a gun-ho, swashbuckling, attacking type style of football. Many people say Mourinho was going to park the bus, etc. And to an extent, it was like that towards the end of last year. And some parts even when he took over as well. That's kind of like how he had to play. Does that surprise you, Dennis, the way Spurs are looking this season, attacking-wise anyway? They seem to be very free-flowing, and something that normally people don't associate that with Mourinho.
It doesn't surprise me. I know people like to say, he plays negative football. That's just the quote-unquote, thing to say with Mourinho, because more often than not, he likes to set up his team. If you notice, he likes to set up his team defensively first. And that's with every player. You need to learn the basics defense first. So once he's got that, he likes his thing is P&P, pace and power. Like once he's got that solid base of defending, then he lets the attackers, like the front 3, run wild. And you can see that's what he tried to he tried to do with Ndombele, where he was dropping him, take him out. What he normally does is those kind of players, he likes to try and break them and then rebuild them in his mold. So more disciplined with the skill that they have. Everybody thought
Ndombele was brilliant.
Ndombele is amazing. I was pissed he went to the Spurs. But you can see Ndombele has a new lease of life. And I said it, I said it before the game. Maybe I jinxed it, but I said that I feel Mourinho has a team right now in his hands that can go for the title. I think he has that. If you look at the team from they have Tottenham didn't really have a bench, but now if you look at the squad, you look at people that didn't play. Dele Alli didn't play.
Ndombele is keeping him out. That's why. Ndombele is keeping Dele Alli out the team.
Yeah, Ndombele, and rightfully so. If you look at I can't remember off the top of my head the bench, but they brought in Vinicius, a striker who's a good backup for Harry Kane. They've got Gareth Bale, and even when he came in, he did look a bit rusty, but you saw that little flash of brilliance where he could have actually made the game. He could have won the game 4-0, and then what you're looking at is to see him 4 games down the line when he's got let's say 4 or 5 matches under his belt. Like what Tottenham are going to look like. Tottenham look devastated. You look at the team now, they got Sissoko in midfield, they got Ndombele in midfield, and they got Højbjerg in midfield. Now that's a real...
Højbjerg's made a massive difference.
He's made a massive difference because Mourinho likes that shithousery type player where, solid, gritty type player. They've got that in Højbjerg, they've got an energy in Sissoko, and they've got the brilliance of Ndombele. And then you got a front three of a Son, Harry Kane, and then now you got Gareth Bale, but on the bench you can have Bergwijn, Lucas, Lamella, Lo Celso. Like Mourinho has a squad right now. I feel that if people, I say write him off at your own peril. Like yes, they drew the game. It's crazy how that happened because they really should have won that game. 80 minutes in, 3-0 up. How you draw that game is crazy. But we've seen the type of results that the Prem has dished out. It's kind of, everything's up and down. But when things start to settle, you look at who's in the reins.
I don't think it's going to settle. Given the fact that they're playing without fans, it's bringing up a lot of very, very different kind of results. I've got some statistics on the screen right now, and in the Premier League this season up till before tonight's games, goals per game in Premier League history, all time highest ever is all time highest full season of most goals in the Premier League happened in 2018-19, where 2.82 goals per game was scored. So far this season, 3.72. Now we're getting to a point where at least 4 goals almost a game are occurring in the first 5 games of the season. The lowest full season goals per game, just incidentally, was 2006-2007, 2.45. So I think that the lack of fans in the stadium is making a big difference to how players are kind of feeling the atmosphere of a game. And I think a lot of the time, and I think we spoke about this privately, the fact that Aston Villa had beaten Liverpool 7-2. By the time the 4th and 5th goal went in, it must have felt like a training game, like a pre-season friendly or something. Because the way that net rattled against the ball rattled against that net, it was ridiculous how many goals are flying in. I've got more stats here. The home and away ratio, away win ratio in the Premier League history this season, 46% of away teams are winning their games. The highest ever all time was 28%. Now it's crazy how much of a difference this lockdown football is making. Will they keep up? Who knows? Only time will tell. But so far, I'm loving it. I mean, just today, we're talking about 3 games, which totaled what? 3, 6. We're talking like 10 goals in 3 matches. Like that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
And none of them resulted in the 3 points.
Exactly. It's like to get 3 points now, you need to score more than 3 goals.
Yeah.
Like it's actually ridiculous. But the point I was trying to make is, yes, in this type of uncertainty where you can't predict anything. You kind of then look to the managers with that experience to kind of like get those teams over the edge. And I feel Spurs have that manager in Jose Mourinho, you know, and they have, if they can, I said it in the group chat, and I said, if they can keep that team fit, I feel they can challenge for the league. Like they have the ingredient. Whether they'll do it or not is a completely different story.
Yeah.
But I feel that they do have the players, especially with the manager, to challenge for the league. And that has now even been heightened with the fact that Liverpool have lost Van Dyke. You know, so now it's like open season. So anybody that can kind of get like a good run of games, you know, like how Everton have done, you know, 4 or 5 games unbeaten.
Whoever.
You know, if anyone can get a good run of games, get a good run of wins under their belt, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. So I feel, yes, people like we all laugh at Tottenham, they haven't won a blah blah blah.
Thank you.
But like I said, I'm not going to put it past. They have the ingredients. They have the manager who's done it before, you know, and he loves proving people wrong. There's one thing: if he's got a chip on his shoulder, he's gonna make sure that, you know, he shoves that down people's throats. And it will be interesting to see what he does with that squad, because that squad that they have now, it's quite frightening. You know, you talk about the likes of Reguilon, who's amazing down that. He's locked down that left hand side. You know, Serge Aurier seems to have a new lease of life at right back.
Can they defend? That would be my question.
We can defend in open play. We're really bad at set pieces this season.
Well, I think to a man, like as Mourinho's changed my impression of. Listen, I always knew he was a great manager. I thought he had kind of lost. I thought he'd lost the love for the game. I really did. I thought he's kind of in it for the paycheck now. I thought that was it for Mourinho.
Oh, but yeah.
And I've been proven wrong. And I'm the first one to put my hand up when you know a perception of mine is changed. That's why I love shows like this. That's why I love having discussion, because my mind is always open to be changed. And Mourinho has changed my mind. But, you know, even though he sets up defensively first and he's got all this talent, which I think we can all agree they're top heavy in talent, as far as for the further up the pitch you go, the more talent they have. You know, goaltender probably being the exception there. But if you look at, you know, everyone from Reguilon, who's not known for his defensive prowess, he's more of a bombing forward type fullback. And then you've got, you know, those who will not be mentioned, like Serge Aurier, and, you know, that guy is an absolute shambles back there. I think Mourinho even said it himself, if you've watched it, you know, he's a liability. But the back, like Dyer, is he an out and out center back? Can they defend when it comes to it? Because all those, you know, like Liverpool's title, it was built off the back, the shoulders of Van Dyke and Alisson, you know.
They got Sanchez. They got Sanchez. Sanchez and Alderweireld are not bad defenders.
No,
you'll be surprised the opinions of the Spurs fans what they think of Davies and Sanchez. It really shocks me. The abuse he was getting yesterday after the own goal, bearing in mind it was 3 goals we conceded, not 1, is ridiculous. I think obviously being Colombian and that, but watching Sanchez, he's a fantastic defender. Any big team will take him.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Sanchez.
The fact that the flack that he gets is ridiculous.
But to a man, do they have the players back there to defend night in and night out? And that's my only question mark.
The question is, who does?
Yeah,
between the league, who does? Manchester United? No. Chelsea? No. Even Man City, they spend almost 300 million on centre backs. They still have. You can't really say that they have the best defenders. Who else? Arsenal.
I think football fans are looking for perfection, and that's impossible.
Yeah, you're not going to get. You can't get perfection.
Arguably, what's his name? Van Dyke was nearly perfect last season, to be fair. But that's an exception. That's like, you don't see that normally. And even yesterday, the fact that we lost the game from 3-0 up with 10 minutes to go, that's only ever happened once ever in the Premier League, and that was yesterday. So, you know, it's like, it just happens, isn't it? Stuff happens, and you know, we didn't lose the game.
Compared to your peers, though, right? And that's what you have to do with Tottenham. Is their back line, for instance, is it better than Man United? Probably. Is it better than Liverpool with a healthy Van Dyke? No, in my opinion, it's not better than a Leicester, for example. I think have a better back line. I think, it's like anything. It's relative to your competition. We're not going for a great...
Speaking of Leicester, sorry, so Junker's injured for 3 months, so they've lost their best defender.
Yeah, great defender. That's a big loss. But this is all my question mark would be with them. I'm not saying it's, like I said, I fear that they're going to be a real challenger for Champions League place. But if I'm putting myself in a Spurs fan's shoes, that would be my only question mark, is can our defense hold up over a full season?
Yeah, that's definitely what we're thinking about.
I think that's the question that every team has now. If you speak to most fans, they all say the same thing. Like Manchester United they're not confident in their defenders. Like you said, as a Tottenham fan, they're not confident in the defenders. Chelsea, not confident in our defending.
You know what? It's not the confidence, it's the mentality. Yesterday, when that first goal went in the 81st minute, all Spurs fans knew, crap, are they going to be able to keep headstrong and keep this game, to a win? Yeah. The fact that they scored that third, it was kind of like, oh crap, they scored, but in the back of our heads, typical.
But that third was that just summed up the Prem. Like, he takes that shot 9 times out of 10, he's not scoring that.
9 times out of 10, Lloris saves it.
But that was
9 times out of 10. That try. That's a 1 in a million shot. That's
a 1 in a million
moon shot.
It's ridiculous. You know what it reminded me? It reminded me of the Newcastle versus Arsenal game.
Oh no, I thought you were going to say the Cisse one against Chelsea.
No, I didn't. But that wasn't even last minute. But this, I'm talking about last minute bangers, goals like that. That Newcastle versus Arsenal where it was 4-4. Yeah, like Czech Tiote, God rest his soul. When he scored that hit that last minute, like 9 times out of 10 he hits that, it doesn't go in. That was a pocket rocket. Like, it just came out of nowhere.
Score a goal like that against Arsenal as well?
Huh?
Essien against Arsenal.
Was it? Yes.
With Gallas, yeah.
No, it was Essien where he scored the ball. Even that still wasn't like a last minute goal. You know what I mean? It was a banger. Yeah. Huh?
Jagielka versus Liverpool.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Was that the volley?
Yeah. That was mad.
So
remember.
Anyway, listen, guys, we need to wrap this up. We've gone over now. Quickly, I've just I put the league table on the screen here. Everton sitting top of the league, 13 points, 5 games played, 4 wins, 1 draw. Obviously, Ollie, they're very, very happy with that. Aston Villa second place, amazing. The fact that they're there, that's brilliant. Dean Smith has done a great job so far with Aston Villa. Third place Liverpool, 4th place Leicester, 5th place Arsenal. Top scorers of the league, Calvert-Lewin, 7 goals. Tied with Son Heung-min on 7 as well. Third being Mohamed Salah. So far, so good for this Premier League season. I'm excited by it, even though we're not doing great as I thought we would do. But other than that, it's been a great season so far. It's good to see teams like Everton and Aston Villa, challenging. It's only 5 games, but it's good to see. It's something different. Guys, as always, D-Lord, the Don, thank you for joining me as always. Ollie, Ren, hopefully we can have you back on the show soon. Lovely little dab there. And thank you guys for watching and listening. If you to the podcast, please show your support, like, subscribe, comment, and leave your thoughts on the video at the bottom of the YouTube channel. Also, do visit the website SoccerSanchez.com and get involved with the site. Let us know your opinions and who's going to win the Premier League this season? We'll see. Guys, as always, thank you very much. It's been emotional. As always, take care. Bye-bye.
Peace.